Of course, the battle lines had been drawn early on because, in the normal sense, the Springbok tour was unpoliceable. Now, that meant special weapons and tactics. The blue and red squads were formed for riot and crowd control. The long batons were introduced, along with skirmish lines, and the police challenge, move, move, move. But the first blows weren't at a game, and they didn't involve the riot squads. They happened outside Parliament in what became known as the Molesworth Street Battening. John Selwood was there in 1981 and returns 25 years on.
1, 2, 3, 4, we don't want your racist stuff.
The right of free assembly and peaceful protest are cherished democratic freedoms. But how far do those freedoms go before they challenge the rule of law? And what is an appropriate response? The question is as relevant today as it was 25 years ago, when police drew batons and rained down blows on unarmed protesters outside the gates of Parliament. Watch the light at the top left-hand side of your screen. That's where the battening starts. It's hard to see on film, but starkly clear in these newspaper stills.
You just couldn't believe it was going to happen, and then when it did happen, it felt like it took such a long time to comprehend it had happened, and that they had hit us. Hit old ladies and myself in a school uniform.
Rachel was at the front of the march when the battening occurred. It was a short, sharp exchange, but one that would reverberate around the country. Suddenly, the issue was no longer just a rugby tour or apartheid. It was the politics of policing, the right to protest, the rule of law.
I was told that there was no way a baton charge would be used against peaceful demonstrators.
The police had decided that they were going to put themselves in a situation where they could inflict summary justice or impose summary justice.
At Molesworth Street, police drew a line. Young constables, many bussed in from the police training college at Trentham, were under orders to hold their ground and, if necessary, use force to stop the demonstration moving past the upper gates of Parliament.
The police had been briefed, of course, that they could use batons in certain circumstances, which was to protect themselves and protect the line.
Former Police Inspector Bert Hill says batons were only used after police had been pushed more than 100 metres up Molesworth Street. He says conflict was inevitable after protesters ignored repeated orders to stop.
We also have to remember that there's security, there's the rule of law, public safety, and the rights of other citizens at stake as well. So we had to find that balance. And just sometimes in life, no has just got to mean no.
After the battening, disbelief quickly turned to anger.
I was just a peaceful man trying to get done to me. I'm just a kid.
The crowd chanting shame, shame, shame swung around and started to march on the central police station. Police double-timed it back to protect the station. Dogs were brought out. Were you scared that night?
Well, I was angry and I was disappointed. I wouldn't say I was actually scared because I sort of knew that after that first confrontation that good sense would prevail and they would not attempt to storm the police station. I mean, that would have been disastrous for everyone.
As I walked back from the battening, it became a decision where you weren't making a tactical decision any longer. You were making strategic decisions because the whole game had changed. I think we believed previously that if we could stop games, we could stop the tour.
In Hamilton the week before, a game against Waikato had been stopped. A pitch invasion by protesters forced the cancellation of the match. It was a victory for the anti-tour movement and a debacle for the police. Rugby supporters were furious, and so too reportedly was the Prime Minister, Rob Muldoon. At Molesworth Street 4 days later, police reasserted their authority. That it happened outside Parliament, that was more than symbolic.
Oh, God, yes. Absolutely. I think that it was, I wouldn't be so harsh as to say it was so Prime Minister Muldoon could see the results of his handiwork. And there was no question in my mind at all that what happened was a result of the government's direct intervention with the highest levels of the police force.
After Molesworth Street, things changed. From then on, crash helmets were worn at the front of marches. Nurses and doctors started accompanying the protesters. The risks had become clear, but so too had the resolve of both sides.